Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another fabulous episode of the Suzette Speaks Show. I'm Suzette Speaks, TVO is an attorney. I am going to be talking to an outstanding gentleman who will be letting us into his most difficult years of struggle. I think about how much pressure we have in society on how men or boys become men. And as I was reading his story, I was really compelled to ask him more about what allowed him to have the strength to overcome. You see, this gentleman who will be joining us just shortly, he was facing incredible odds. His mother was incarcerated when he was about 14 years old. And just as he was getting ready to start his freshman year of high school, he had no family members that were able to take him in. So, can you imagine being 14, your mother heading off, unfortunately, to serve a sentence in prison? And you now looking to beginning high school and wondering what you were going to do because, in effect, he became homeless at that time. Well, I think I'm going to save some of what happened in between his story to where he is now a top sales executive in a Fortune 200 company. But he has a compelling story and he's been sharing it all over the world with young people. And I thought it would be fabulous for him to join me here today. His name is Mr. Low Wilder. His name is Loren, but he goes by Low. And I think he's working on a book because I told him, you should be doing a book. The way he has come out above and beyond what many had assumed he would be capable of, looking at the odds of his family, he became the first person to graduate from high school from his family. Think about that. He was able to gain some scholarships when he headed to college. And there's just so many turns in his story from which I think we'll learn so much. So before I bring him on, I want you guys to give him a warm welcome. I see you in the chat. Welcome to the one and only Speak Strong Fire with Victor McCoy. What you know about it? He's here in support. Thank you so much. Thank you, BJ, for being here. He says, I heard they was going to have the amazing Low Wilder here tonight. Let's go. Met this amazing guy years ago, and he is nothing short of honorable stand-up man. Okay, he brought people with him. So the title of today's show is called From Homeless to Hero. And why did I call him a hero? Well, there's so much about his life now and how he got there that I truly admire. Again, any person that is going from boy to man, it is not an easy process, especially in today's world. With so many outside influences, so much expectation, so much pressure on what it means to be a man. But yet he's beaten these odds. And I want to get into how he did that and the advice he has for any man, any person to move forward. They suck my what's good. BJ says, hey, RM, good to have you here. One of my fabulous moderators. And thank you, everybody who's watching live or team replay. But there's so much, like I said, about him that is unique. And if you have time, I mean, he has sent me, let me make this a little larger, so many articles about himself. When he was coming up, it made news, y'all. He's from Massachusetts. And let me tell you, it wasn't no bed of roses where he grew up. And there's so much to this story that touched me that I really wanted to bring to you tonight. And he said, yes, we're a little late and doing a little late streaming tonight after 9. Let's go. But if you're watching live, you know what to do. Hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe as well. And join me if you're watching on Facebook. Welcome. And if you're also watching on the Suzette Speaks pages, I'm glad you're here. You're in for a treat tonight as we start this conversation. But you can see he had a role model, the now fallen Mr. Cosby. But Bill Cosby's involved in his story. We're going to find out how and what impact he had. Like I said, before the drama. Okay, all right. Y'all going to be mad. Yeah, before the drama. But there is this man now, and he's doing in this picture what he loves to do, which is to impart wisdom to the next generation because he has it. He most certainly has earned it. From going against the odds to making it to where he is today, a family man, married, child and baby on the way. Let's go. And it has not been an easy bed of roses. And I think sometimes when you see the man who now has his wife and his child and making the money. You think, they were always like that. You think he might come from a place of privilege. Uh-oh. Absolutely not. This is going to be a real conversation, y'all. We're going to peek behind the curtain in more ways than one. He's open to talking about anything. And we asked him, if he would just be transparent. And he's always been that way since I met him late last year. So in full disclosure, we met in a program together, speaker training. And just after hearing him and knowing a little bit more about him, I said to myself, let's go. Put your location in the chat for me. I see y'all representing PAVA in the building. Welcome, welcome. Hampton University grad he is. Yes, BJ said, love this guy. Making us proud. Excuse me. But before bringing him on, from homeless to healer. Okay, well, maybe I put it a good word in now. Healer, or I would say from homeless to hero. I'm grateful that he's here. Grateful to have you watching. Hey, Damon. Hey, XY Tech from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, chiming in. And we got so many more. But before I bring him up, let me just let you know we got some great shows, y'all, coming through. Please check me out this Thursday. The spiritual attorney will be here, Miss Misty. She has a fantastic platform, and we're going to do some work this Thursday. I'm going a little earlier this week. We'll be on, I think, around 3:30 Eastern or 4. So while you're working, go ahead and make sure you hit the notification bell. This stream is already up, so that will be Thursday with the beautiful spiritual attorney, as she is known. Misty will be here with me, and we're going to be doing some work. I also have the American Dream. We had to reschedule, but I will be seeing her. I think it will be early next week. I think on the 16th. I can't wait to have the one and only Miss Tremaine Hemmons on the show. We're going to talk about the realness of the immigration system. She is an immigration attorney, what she's seeing, some do's and don'ts, and some harrowing stories about what it takes to live this American dream, right? It ain't easy, y'all, with all the different law changes and changes in the administration. So yeah, it's going to be a good show. Can't wait to have her. Make sure you're in the place when we have her live. That stream is up. Go ahead and hit the notification bell. And of course, Frida's World. I cannot wait. I have a bunch of lady lawyers coming up the next 3 shows. What's up? The ladies representing Frida's World, curator. She will be on tomorrow. We're going to talk about her overcoming imposter syndrome. If you don't know what that is, a lot of people deal with imposter syndrome, especially high achieving people. So it can be very difficult to spot because you don't feel like you belong, or that you deserve what you have, or that in some way, you are deficient. And she's going to talk a little bit about that. Her platform, Frida's World, is about women of color in the workplace, right? How to get ahead and, how to deal with the drama. So we are excited to have her on tomorrow. We're going to be on at 3:30 in the afternoon, y'all. So make sure all these streams are up. Please and thanks. Go ahead and hit the like button and the notification bells so you are live with us as we have the conversation. As I have these experts on, I want you, to interact and let me know what you're thinking, what you're feeling. And I'm glad to see so many of you up with me. Let's go. Kansas City in the building. Big up yourself, Marlon. Glad to have you, Miss AKA Lady. I'm glad you're here. RM says hit the like button. Why don't you? So without further ado, as y'all know, again, I do this for the love. I do this for the love of conversation and from learning from others' experiences. I know that personal stories, as they say, narratives, change lives, right? Knowing what someone else has been through and knowing that you're not alone in this world can change your mindset in so many ways, change the trajectory of your life. So that's what we're hoping to do with this conversation. And I'm going to set that expectation. I hope it's not too tall of an expectation, brother, but I know you the man that can handle it. So without further ado, y'all, welcome to the Suzette Speaks show for the very first time, Mr. Loren Wilder. Big up yourself. Yay. How are you, sir?
Welcome. What up? What's going on? Can you hear me? Everything's good?
You look good, sounding good. You my hero tonight. So
hey, come on, man. I appreciate that.
I'm super excited to have you. Thank you for saying yes, first and foremost.
Most definitely.
We've talked. I know that, again, we were both kind of doing our speaker training not too long ago and kind of bonded. But he is, I think, an epitome of what many men out here, young man in his 30s, right. Settled down, praise God, and
yes,
married. And I want to tell the folks about you. How about you tell the folks about yourself so they'll know a little bit more about who Lo Wilder is. Welcome, sir. Thank you for being here.
Appreciate that. And it's an honor, again, just starting out at the ETA, man. Airtime, to shout out to Airtime to CJ with Game Changers, and we met last summer. Did some great things. Got certified now, doing what we do. But yeah, I don't know where to start. Honestly, man, I'm just a man, humble man from Springfield, Mass. Have my faith. Spiritual, Christian, husband, right? My beautiful wife and my son Jaden, and we have a baby on the way. So definitely excited. Doing some amazing things with business, and but yeah, like you said, going back to my story and what the root of my story is, coming up in, some tough times, right? Faced a lot of adversity, was growing up in the streets of Springfield, Mass. Like you said, it wasn't all roses. A lot of drugs, a lot of violence in them streets. And, my mom went to jail when I was 14. My dad was in jail. Didn't meet my biological father until I was 24 years old. And so, I could have easily became a product of my environment, but with mentors and making the right choices, and obviously God's grace and mercy in my life, I was able to kind of get through and beat the odds. And so, yeah, we could definitely dive into the story a little
Yes,
bit more, wherever you want
I'll
to
stop
go.
you there because there's
Yeah,
so much to say, y'all. It
yeah,
sounds
yeah.
good and like, oh, we made it. But people don't really know what it takes to overcome such odds. And having
Most
you
definitely.
live that reality and knowing that it wasn't, not to say it's not easy, it's almost like doesn't do it justice. From what I
Hmm.
was reading in your bio. So we're gonna talk about, from your early years till now, what people can you got, let me tell you, you brought your fan club who is Byron. Salute to the
Hey,
people
let's
breaking
go.
generational curses. Big up Gray Pill podcast. First of all, I love the the YouTubers. I was gonna say Facebookers, the YouTubers that first and foremost they respect the camera quality. Camera quality.
Real quick,
That was
huh?
his first thing. He's talking about Mike chromed out. This is what he's commenting on. He's like, yeah, the story's great, but I just like the fact that we respect what he does in terms of his craft. I love
Yeah,
that.
most definitely.
And shout out to again everyone watching. They're like, "Low, let's go,
Let's
showing
go.
love." It's great. It's great to have everybody here, and we're
Yeah,
grateful
most
that
definitely,
you're
man.
watching. But take us back, Low, because I
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
sometimes it sounds like great to say, "Oh, I overcame odds," but when you describe to me what it was that you was living with, I first of
Mhm.
all, when somebody says they're first in their family to graduate high school,
Mm,
it causes you to pause, right?
right.
High school, not college, high school. So I want to kind of place or take everybody back to the place where you kind of um, first learn the realities of life, right?
Mm,
So
mhm.
when people think about, oh, look at him now, making money, has a family, it is easy to think, those things didn't have an impact, but I'm sure they did. So take us back to your childhood. Can you describe, especially before your mom went away
Yeah,
to
most
prison?
most definitely,
What
man,
were
and I
you living
yeah.
like in Springfield? I was like, Springfield, Massachusetts, got them kind of hoods there. Like,
Right,
what's
right.
so? Can you describe for people what your upbringing was like before that pivotal point? Sorry about that. Yes, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, no, most definitely. And look, man, I'm an '80s baby, right? So grew up in the '80s and early '90s where drugs was just epidemic. Like everybody was either on drugs or selling drugs. My mom had a second grade education. She worked hard, but as a single mom, just wasn't really meeting the bills, and so she chose a path that she was familiar with. I'm half Puerto Rican. My mother's full Puerto Rican from Puerto Rico, and the family in Puerto Rico just they always knew how to hustle. And most Caribbeans know. I mean, you know about that, right? So you either hustling or you grinding. And my mom was grinding for
Figuring it
many
out.
years.
Yes.
Yeah, so she was grinding it out, and it was a struggle, man. So my I was adopted when I was in my mom's womb. I didn't know that until I was 24. Actually, she disclosed it, and that's a whole nother story I didn't even tell you about.
Woo.
But yeah, but the man that basically adopted me was got hooked on drugs as well. And when I was 4 years old, he left, and that put my mom in a tight situation. So it was me and my older sister, growing up in apartments in Springfield, Mass. And after being evicted from multiple places, like she was tired. My mom was tired of it, so she was like, you know what, I'm gonna go and do something that I know, and that was to hustle, and that was to sell drugs, unfortunately. But I want to say this because I always tell people, man, and my mom was just an amazing woman. She showed nothing but love. It wasn't like a broken home in that regards, right? She was single, but she definitely showed nothing but love with me and my sister. She really taught us street smarts, but also just kind of how to make the right choices, despite the fact that she was, doing what she was doing. So, but we was evicted. We've had a lot of different changes, man. I've slept in cars and my grandmother's house. And so my sister ended up dropping out of high school. Obviously, like I said, my mom had a second grade education. I had a small family, so a lot of my cousins didn't graduate. I never went to a high school graduation. So, and me, I was just going to school. When I was in middle school, I man, I was bad. Like Suzette, I'm gonna tell you, like I was making some wrong choices. I was hanging around the wrong folks. I started smoking weed when I was 12 years old. And we were just doing things. I stayed back in the seventh grade because I was constantly getting in fights. As a man now looking back,
Mm,
I was a little boy that was just crying out for attention, and I was just looking for something, and I was just taking out my anger because I'm seeing friends with their fathers, seeing them going to the park, seeing their dads at the games, and I was angry inside. And
yeah.
so as a return, I was just, man, I was, making the bad choices. In fact, a lot of the kids that I grew up with in middle school, they're either in jail or dead. Man, my best friend was murdered about 10 years ago. Kid I grew up with in high school or middle school, I'm sorry. And so the environment that I was around, when I stayed back, that was a blessing in disguise. And my mom looked at me and said, "You're gonna make a choice. I know you think you're a grown man, but you're either going to go to military school or you need to get your act right." So started playing football, and that's what changed everything for me.
Wow. So yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were able to kind of paint a better picture so people understand the level of, and I call it dysfunction, because a lot of people, and I've had this conversation so much, are attributing a lot of dysfunctional behavior to a racial group, saying black people
Hmm.
do this. Well, no, no, not everybody black people do it. Not, no,
Yeah,
it's actual dysfunction of people who have not been loved or shown how, to live with joy, with peace, with harmony, with self-respect, with dignity. So oftentimes, if you've never received that type of lesson, you cannot pass that lesson down.
that's
And
right.
of course, economically speaking, coming here, was your mom born on the island, or was she
Yeah, she was actually born in New York.
okay?
And so she was born in New York, then she moved back to Puerto Rico, grew up in
Okay,
Puerto Rico.
got you.
And yeah, and then moved back
And then
to
move back.
the
Yeah.
States.
So
Hmm.
yeah, so there's a lot there, and sometimes that immigrant story and the struggle, and even though you're American by paperwork,
Right.
there's a lot of things that go on. But you said that football helped
Yay.
you.
Glory days, as my wife like to say.
I
Hey,
see you
listen.
wrapping them up. I see you.
Hey, hey, football was everything for me. Like, especially growing up, man. I just, that was when I really was, kind of had this imagination of, man, what if I can make it to the NFL? And so yeah, football was my place to really release. So instead of staying and fighting and selling drugs and things like that, I turned to the field, and my coaches was some black men that were became role models, became my mentors, and really helped me and aligned me for what I was about to embark on.
That's fantastic. A lot of people, I think, we have a tendency, some of us, to say now, we don't want y'all to just be sports people.
Hmm.
But my brothers say all the time, you see, if there was not athletics, we would have young people running amok in this society,
For
because
real,
you learn a lot of values and principles from
most
playing
definitely.
sports. I was a high school athlete as well. And
Hmm.
I love playing sports. And then as a woman, it changes you, because
Yeah,
I go to stuff and I'm like, okay, everybody who was on the sports team, raise your hand. And it's actually a minority of women. And I think about that. I'm like, oh, yeah, high school basketball teams, high school volleyball teams, soccer, whatever, it's not a softball, track. It's not a whole bunch of people that were student athletes. So
right.
it's still kind of like a different, what should I say, cross section of who learns this leadership, the value of connection, teamwork, hard work, resilience, and all those wonderful, I call them spiritual lessons that
Mm,
come from playing a sport. So fantastic that you found it.
Hmm.
And I read that you were captain of the football team. Was that right?
Yeah, yeah, captain. So I was a captain in middle school, and then I was a captain in high school. So again, like you said, in football, you learn a lot of values. You learn how to be a leader. You learn how to be a team player. You know how to stay committed. You know how to execute. You learn how to just finish. And that's the thing that I really like, kind of embraced, was finishing the game, was finishing, fighting, competing, because a lot of people, again, you start something, you don't finish. Again, there was a
Yeah.
lot of people in my
And
family
getting
didn't
back up.
graduate.
Getting
Yeah,
back up
yeah.
after a
So
tough loss, after a cheating opponent and all
yeah,
this.
yeah,
It's life. It
yeah.
is what it is. People don't play fair all the time, and you got to really again be resilient. So shout out to you and the mentoring that took
Mm,
place.
most
Wow, the
definitely.
mentorship that you received while you were on the football team and how it changed you. So you went from fighting and trying to smoke and all this
Yeah,
bad
yeah,
boy style and all that to like straightening up a bit.
yeah, yeah, man. It was a
Fantastic.
blessing. Hmm.
I always tell, and I talk to other ladies. I'm like, yo, put your girls in sports if you can,
Hmm.
because it
Yeah.
changes the mindset. And when you tap into like again that leadership, you don't know, what you are capable of
Hmm.
until you find those moments that allow you to shine or sparkle, be afraid and overcome it, and all these wonderful things. So yes, Damon agrees. He says sports teaches you discipline and teamwork, 100% at the core. So
Right.
you got out of high school with decent grades, or what was it like?
Oh yeah, for sure. So in high school, I went to a vocational high school. So that's kind of what helped. I'm a little backtrack a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because the newspaper and how I got in the newspaper. My friends and I, we were kind of in similar situations. One of my boys' mom kicked him out, and so we ended up getting a 3-bedroom apartment our senior year in high school. And I was able to do that because I was working 2 jobs. My school was a vocational school, so instead of going to class once every other week, I would go to work. It was a co-op, so I was able to work. I was an electrician, learning the electric trade, and so I was able to make money while getting good grades, and that's how I was able to afford an apartment. And so that's how I got recognized in the newspaper. And then but in football, we had a lot of different scholarships, schools reaching out to us. And then, as you can see here, my man Bill Cosby, stepped in. He saw that we were a couple young men that was making the right choices. This is back in 2004, where he was, telling everybody like, man, African Americans need to step up. Here's these 2 young men who don't have their parents in their life right now, but they made the right choices. And so he kind of used our story as an example, and in return paid for our education. So we were able
Listen,
to
this
go to
Bill Cosby
Hampton.
right here, shout
Yeah,
out to this Bill Cosby. Now,
not for
past
sure.
2000 and what year, I don't know.
Yeah.
But at least the forward face, like I said, the behind the scenes man that we've learned he really was is actually quite frightening and scary.
Hmm.
Um, but this man, this part of him, found you and others. It says Uncle Bill lends a hand is the headline here. Youth's find friend in Cosby, and he saw that you came from the most difficult of circumstances, and financially helped you go to Hampton.
Hmm.
That's amazing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
there are reasons that people are not all good and all bad. I'm not defending him. Please don't send me no emails. But for him in this stage of your life
For
to
sure.
come back, the comeback kid, getting your life together, going to a vocational school, picking up a trade, having 2 jobs, playing football, becoming, a better athlete, and someone to notice this, and having your mom be in jail. And were you living by yourself, you said?
Yeah. So it was me and 2 other of my boys. We had a 3-bedroom apartment.
So who signed the lease?
It was so
Okay,
interesting
never mind.
story. No, no, it was, it's not crazy. Like, so back then, '04, like, was no lease, and it was actually a friend of mine, a teammate, his father's apartment, and so he just rented it to us. Yeah.
Ooh, so it was kind of like not a leasing office. Like he was like, all
Yeah,
right,
it
y'all can
wasn't no
stay here.
apartment complex, nothing like that. Right,
Ooh,
right.
so
Yeah.
I've seen this happen where like there were teenagers basically in their own place.
Hmm.
There must have been challenges with the 3 of y'all.
Yeah, yeah. I
Did
mean,
y'all get along? Was everybody kind of
the biggest challenge was fighting for the bathroom space, man. Like, hey, I'm gonna shower, man. I need a shave. Like, get out. That was the biggest challenge. I
Did
mean,
you
we were,
guys wake up
yeah.
on time, respect one another's space, that kind of thing?
I ain't gonna lie, man. I was always late, man. Like,
Oh my
yeah, I
goodness.
was
You know,
always late.
just say like,
My senior year, I was like, everything was done. I mean, I took all the classes I needed. I was again working the job, so I was barely in school, and because I was working half of the time. So yeah, it wasn't. Yeah,
you living like a grown up, bro. I was just
yeah.
thinking
Hey,
like
for
the
sure.
amount of things that my mother did for me still as a high schooler
Yeah,
and kept me
yeah.
on point and kept me ready for the next thing and applying for college and things like that. So did you just apply to college by yourself?
Yeah, so a guidance counselor, Dawn Rogers, man, shout out to Dawn. She calls me her second son. She was like a mother figure, a mom in high school. And what happened was I went to UMass. I'll tell you this cool story. So we went to UMass and we were visiting college. Now, my football coach was always telling me, like, Lo, you doing what you got to do, keep getting the good grades, you're gonna go to college. And in my mind, I'm like, that's a long shot. Like, ain't nobody even graduate high school. I'm just trying to finish this thing right here. And so we did one of them school visits to UMass, and I was sitting there listening to this lady talking about the opportunities at UMass. And so she started talking about what the requirements were. You had to take the SAT score, get your SAT scores. You also have to fill out a personal statement. So listen, again, I was ignorant. Like, I'm not gonna lie, because I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. And so like, she was talking about a personal statement, writing this essay, right? And she said, start talking about adversity. Now, I didn't know what adversity was, right? So I went up to her during the break. I said, "Man, what is adversity?" And she said, challenges that you've gone through. Kind of talk about that in the personal statement, and then how you was able to overcome them. So right then and there, I told her, "Well, my mom's in jail. I got my own apartment, working. Is that adversity?" And she looked at me and said, "What?" Yes. And so,
Oh,
yeah. So as
dang.
soon as I left the visit, went back to school, I told my guidance counselor, like, I'm gonna write this, my personal statement. I would like for you to proofread it. And she just starts crying. She
Oh
didn't
my,
even know, like, this is her job as a guidance counselor, to kind of understand what's going on with her students. She didn't
yeah.
even realize that three of her seniors were in an
Living
apartment
by
by
themselves.
themselves,
Wow.
and raising them, doing what we got to do. And so that's when she took she took um, accountability and responsibility to kind of help us get into school, started filling out for all these different applications. It was her friend um, who read my personal statement, who decided that she wanted to write the first article. And so that's when she came to the apartment and did all of that. And so I was working at Walgreens, clipping coupons, just trying to
That's
get bargains and telling them that story. And yeah, so I started writing all these applications. I got accepted at like seven colleges.
That's amazing. And I'm just again thinking about how immature many people are at 15, 16, 17,
Facts.
and having people who need to go grocery shopping on their own and wash their own clothes and do all this
Yeah.
other stuff and cook and not, and all this other stuff. I'm sure y'all ate out a lot, but
Yeah,
thinking
definitely ate
about,
out a lot. Yeah.
all those responsibilities that a mom or a dad usually provide
Yeah,
and
for sure.
how it is like amazing that you didn't, fall further into a hole, but instead came up.
Hmm.
Gray Pill says, the Gray Pill podcast, welcome again. My brother says, a girl I dated in high school had the same living situation, but it was just her.
Wow.
So yeah, I think this happens. Sometimes we don't know. And again, people come to class looking like everybody else, and you have no idea what's
Yeah.
going on behind the scenes. Yes, powerful says Mr. Victor M. McCoy. So you get to go on, thanks to Bill Cosby giving you a scholarship. You get to Hampton, and I
Hmm.
saw this article.
Yeah.
Cosby kids graduates. So you
Hmm.
made it, bro. Not only the first in your family to graduate from high school, but your first in family to graduate from college.
Yeah. And it wasn't easy. I was on the 6 year plan at Hampton.
Oh, okay, praise God. But we made it.
Yeah.
We
We
made
made it.
it.
Yeah, we made it.
That's fantastic. So
Yeah,
yeah,
most
I
definitely.
think the fact that the news kept up with you and wanted to see what happened
Yeah.
to this kid from the rough side of the tracks, if you will, without a mom, without guardianship, which is
Hmm.
crazy again. But to know that you were successful in not only graduating high school but getting to Hampton. Did you play football at Hampton?
I did. Yeah. I played a few years at Hampton, '04 to 2007. And then I stopped playing. I got in a roll up car accident. left school. That's why I took a little bit of time out of
Yes,
school. So
yes.
yeah, but I did play at Hampton. Shout outs to HU football Pirates. Won 3 MEAC championships when I was on the
Oh,
team.
okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yep.
Just
So
in case they don't know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it was all over the news and it was a big deal coming from where you came from.
Hmm.
Yes, Byron says tough times make strong people. We made it.
Let's
Let's
go.
go. Damon says blessings for overcoming your hardships. Yeah, I hope, people will watch this and be inspired and get, motivated in whatever area of their life they're struggling, because
Yeah.
all of us have struggles, some much more than others, and to different degrees and in different areas of their life. Some people have never had to struggle, financially. Others, this is, their reality. Your reality. I'm thinking to, again, food stamps, this, that. Like, what are you doing to survive? Plus, you
Hmm.
had two jobs, and thankfully, yeah. He's scam likely says, ask him if he went to those Legion parties at HU.
You already know, bro. Come on,
Telling all the
man. Hey, and
business.
you know the football team. We ain't waiting in line. We getting in through the side door.
Let us in. What it is.
Most
Let us
definitely.
in.
He already
Wait,
know.
it's so funny. All right, tell all the secrets. I love it. I'm here with Lil Wilder, y'all, and he's
Yeah,
talking
man.
about his story from homeless to hero. I'm calling him a hero because, like I said, when I see people who have overcome such daunting odds to have a life like he has made for himself, that he has chosen and worked and dedicated himself to achieving, it is worth sharing. It's worth telling people how. And again, you see him in Jet Magazine here, the true Cosby Kid, now a college graduate. It was all over the place. It was a story that many people, his story is one that many people sought to follow, because
Mhm.
it was really, incredible that you went through what you went through with your mom being incarcerated and having a parent to guide you. So how do you explain that? Again, I know y'all hit the
Yeah.
like button, please, as you come in. Team Replay, welcome. Here with Lil Wilder. He's talking about his story from homeless to hero, how he overcame incredible odds, being basically homeless when his mom got incarcerated at 14, and just continued to go to school, found a place, rented from his homeboy's uncle, three
Father,
young
father.
men,
Yeah. Yep.
father, excuse me, homeboy's father. Three, I'm calling y'all men, but boys, teenagers, and figuring out life and trying to strive still to become what he had never seen before, where no one in his family had ever done before. And to get to where he is now again is almost like a miracle. Do you call this basically a walk of faith? Do you
Hmm.
think that you're lucky? Is it right place, right time, right people? What do you attribute this type of success and resilience in overcoming the odds to?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's where faith kicks in. See, it was by the hands of God, man. God orders our steps, right? And so it's a blessing. It really is. I look back at my childhood and the kids I grew up with, and I'm like, that could have easily been me, right? But God showed grace. He showed mercy in my life, and so each step of the way, as I look back, now in hindsight, I'm able to see all the different doors that He opened, all the people that He put into my life that was able to help me and get to that door. Again, my guidance counselor, I call them the hidden figures, right? The people who weren't in the newspaper, and because even before Bill Cosby on the scene, there was a lot of people like Devron Plummer, one of the supervisors that I worked, at the housing authority. I worked at the electric company back home during the summers, and it was all those men that I saw, that God put in my life. I'll never forget when I was at the electric company. I was 15 years old, the youngest dude working there. I was riding with one of the brothers. He was 40 years old. His name was Teddy. And he was like, let me stop by my house. He stopped at his house. It was like a 2-bedroom house, and he had a truck, and he was getting something in and out of the house. And I looked at that house and was like, yo, that's what I want. Right. Like in my mind, I'm thinking, I am sleeping. I'm 15. So at this time, I'm sleeping on the floor at, my buddy's house. His mom let me stay with them. So I tell my story about homeless, and I wasn't sleeping like ET in abandoned buildings or sleeping in the car or under a bridge. I was able to move in with a friend of mine who his mom had 13. We had 13 kids in the house. So it was like kind of like, slept on the floor on a mattress. And I'm looking at this 2-bedroom house yo, I can, like, this can be my life. Like, I can make this happen. And the house looked like a mansion. I go look at it now, it look like a Monopoly house, man. No disrespect. But I was just so amazed, right? Because here's a black male, 40 years old. He has a career. And I remember telling him, like, I want to be like you. And he said, "You don't want to be like me." So later that day, this is, and I'm showing my age. I know I'm in my 30s, but this is back when we didn't have direct deposit and we would get checks. And so later that day, it was a payday, and he called me up to he said, "Come over here." He said, "Man, I want you to be better than me." And so he takes out his pay stub, shows me his check, and I saw a deduction of $1,000 for child support. And he was like, "You don't want to be like me. I made a lot of bad choices." People like Teddy that God placed in my life help. I didn't have my kid until I was 34 years old. And I contribute a lot of that to what he shared and made sure that I did it right with the wife. And so shout outs to my wife because we both waited. And by God's grace, man, we were able to come together, and now we have this beautiful family that we're expanding, very young family. But it was the individuals that God put in my life. I can't take credit for that. So I'm always going to say, and as cliche as it may sound, but what I like to tell people is this: you want to define the life that you want. What is it? What does it look like? Like, what do you want to do? And then once you do that, you have to refine it. There's going to be some times where you have to switch it up. Man, if you look back on my story, you'll see I wanted to go to law school. You'll see that I wanted to go work for the electric company. I changed up my goals in my career so many different times because as I continued to grow, different things happen. Opportunities close, doors close, and I had to make and pivot. And I think that's what's important. So sometimes you have to refine it, but then you have to align your life with your goals and your actions. And I think that's where accountability comes in. That's when you have to actually take action. A dream without vision, a dream without taking action is just a dream. So I was young. I had a dream. I was ambitious. Wanted to be successful. I think the good thing was I was okay with making mistakes and failing along the way. But as I look back now, everything was ordered and orchestrated by God. So yeah, it's a blessing.
I love it. I love it. There's so many people that hopefully will get some motivation from your testimony as they're calling it. I see you, Damon. Everybody's like, great, great. Your testimony is why we can't give up on kids. Hello, somebody,
Hmm.
when they act up in school. Yeah, this whole let me put a cop in every school, but not only just there as a resource officer, but to criminalize behaviors that used to get I'm talking about lesser offenses now, nonviolent offenses and things like this. The kids are being kind of funneled more so in like a penal system instead of rehabilitative type system. And I think
Hmm.
again, there's room for punishment. Don't get me wrong, but I understand what you're saying very loud and clearly here, Damon. We don't know what's going on at home when they leave school. Oftentimes, again, we see, especially when it comes to Black boys, they
Hmm.
are put in this big basket. Everybody's together, and people are not allowed, the mental health strategies on top of the life strategies sometimes that are missing. And quite frankly, if they were
Hmm.
white or another color, that these same kids would act out anyway. It's not a racial um, origin. It's more
Hmm.
so again a life origin, and we have to take a time out to get to the kids before they become really entrenched in a certain mindset where you can't reason with them or allow them that leeway. But especially when they're younger, like I'm big on what you've described, which is again mentorship as a way of helping a young man who does not have, like you, any stronger role models present, man or woman, to get
Hmm.
in front of people that actually can help mold them. And like you said, you saw your friend's dad, like, listen, you got a house, and you're like, it's a whole 2 bedroom house with how much
Yeah, that
kids you
thing
got.
look like a
But
mansion.
you were like, ain't
Yeah,
nobody ever had no house where I'm from, so
man.
great. And he's
Yeah.
like, brother, little boy, you could do so much better than me. And I'm grateful that he spoke that
Yeah,
to
for
you
sure.
so that
Most
you
definitely.
knew, wait, there's more. There's another level to this thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought you
yeah.
was making it. So shout out to all of those role models,
For
that came
sure.
into your life. And again, not by accident. How are you? Doc Amy Speaks
Hey, that's
says,
my boy
oh,
Doc.
that's
What up,
crew. That's
though?
peoples.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah, that's my
crew.
guy, man. That's my guy, man. He has an
Says,
amazing
let's go, King
testimony.
Low.
Yeah, yeah,
I love
yeah,
it. He brought his
yeah.
crew with him. Says, I love you, bro.
Yeah,
Thanks for
yeah.
being here,
And
Doc
I
Amy.
have to say this too, man, because this is just on my heart, man. When I go and speak to all these schools and these kids, there's kids that are just like hungry, like let alone like what they see every day, right? They're hungry. And I'm like literally. And so, they didn't eat dinner. The only time they get a warm meal is in school. There's a lot of times where all I ate was, school lunch, and then I'll pack a sandwich from, the counter and take it for dinner later on that night. So how can you expect kids to learn and study and be efficient in what they're doing? So kids are really struggling. But one of the things that I think both of us, we have this desire, and my boy Doc and all those other ones that are pouring into the youth, is that they're hungry also for opportunities and exposure. And I love what Jamal King says. He said your level of exposure will dictate your success, your level of success. So I was exposed in the electric company and all these different avenues, and really was like, yo, there's more to life. And so, yeah, I just had to say that, man, because you're right. I could have easily got caught at 15 smoking and back into school, and that could have changed everything,
You're
right?
done.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
done. Your
done.
story's over. Now
It's
you have
over.
a criminal record.
Now I'm
And
a
yes,
statistic.
Victor says non-institutional strategies, 100%.
Most
But I think
definitely.
we get,
Yeah.
again, children are children. And I think sometimes when we get such bad reports from the schools, we're like, no, you're going to be soft on crime. But of course, everything has nuance. So there are people that most definitely do not need to be in the schools and maybe need some kind of diversion program. But there are children that can be reached and that
Hmm.
we want to give a chance to, because maybe it's their lack of stable home. Maybe it's their, like you said, hunger.
Hmm.
Literally, people don't realize. I worked on No Child Hungry. Work with them on a project last year, and in Florida, just the numbers of kids that rely on school food, even during the
Hmm.
summer.
Yeah.
We had to set up. There's programs that feed students over the
I
summer
grew up on that. Listen,
because there
13.
was nobody with food in the
Yeah.
house.
Listen, 13 kids in the house. And shout out to my boy's mom. She was a single mother working at a factory. So there wasn't a lot of food there, especially in the summertime. And we used to go to the park when they gave out lunches. And that was a part of those
Yes,
programs.
that
So
would,
yeah,
yes, it's real.
yeah, it's
And
real.
everybody who's like, well, why don't the parents have it? I'm like, you don't know what's
Yeah,
going on with that child.
that's right.
Again, the parents are making decisions that the child has no control of. And of course, we want everyone to be responsible as a
Most
parent,
deaf.
but we know that's just not the way it is. So
Yeah, for
children
sure.
also do need to have a fighting chance. So thank you for sharing that. Damon adds, I'm a pastor and a pastor's child.
Mm,
We have to advocate for children and adults with different life situations and issues. This is 100% it, because just because they grew up in certain circumstances, look at you, bro. Look
mm,
at you. I
mm.
put it up. Hey, Sandy W, good to have you. He speaks all over the world, y'all.
Yeah,
To students, it's a passion of his to go out, tell kids, I come from a single family home, a single parent home. My mom was incarcerated when I was 14. I was homeless and nobody wanted to take me in as a family member. And here I am. What is the type of response that you get when you're out there talking to the young people?
yeah. It's funny because a lot of times they can relate. And I tell you, one of the things that kind of shocks me is that some of their stories are worse, right?
Mm,
They've been molested, or their parents killed each other, like
yeah,
real, like some
crazy stuff going
real,
on.
yeah,
Yeah,
crazy stories. And I sympathize with them, and empathize. But the response is this: they really feel hope. And I think that's just it's just the tip of the surface, right? Because we have to really, there needs to be more than just that. Our educational system is failing our kids. We're really not equipping them with the modern day and how they can, kind of really learn, like even technology and how fast it's moving. Our education system is not moving fast with it. I think COVID kind of helped bring, the whole e-learning and things like that. But I went to high school. I didn't have any books. They used to print out our books, and we would have to turn the printouts in at the end of the class. There's still schools that are going through that right now, 2023, as great as technology is. So I think that we have to look at, okay, how he comes in and he motivates them. But guess what? When I leave, that kid's going right back to that neighborhood. He's going right back to his situation. And what are we doing to kind of help them? So that's why my wife and I, man, we love to start this program where we kind of help stay with them and do like a curriculum, so that we can really develop their character, their just giving them the skills, the soft skills that they need so that they can, really achieve their goals. So that's why I'm very passionate in that. And I just continue to do that as much time as I get, giving back and really kind of helping them see so that they can be inspired, so they can be empowered, encouraged, and motivated to go after what they want.
That's what's up. We need that. We need, especially our men in schools.
Hmm.
If it's just for, I met an accountant, like Damon, an engineer. I met someone who's done something different, career days, or take your child to school, or so take your parent to work. What is, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I was going to go to career days, but
Yeah, for
also
sure.
show up randomly, because oftentimes, you may have your child, but another child will see you and listen and pay attention as you did to hear, the stories of men. So I think it's super important. And I'm grateful again to hear that you are paying it forward. You are going back and you are seeing impact based on, what your story can do for others who might be in a similar situation. Let me see. What does this mean? Dr. Amy Speaks says, I'm a 3-time loser, turned my life around in prison. You're not a 3-time loser. Wrote a book, and now I work full time in our local elementary school, working with.
Yeah, major
Uh,
shout outs.
oh wow, with behavior
Yeah.
challenge kids. Okay, these kids
Mm,
are angry and mad. I see it every day, 100%, and
yeah,
they don't know how to express it.
that's right.
Oftentimes, we see this as kind of like rebellious because I'm old school. I'm like, kids don't talk to parents like this. But I was listening to an NPR piece that a lady who taught, I think it was like preschool for almost 20 years. She's like, this is the first time I've seen like 4-year-olds slap cuss me out. Like a white woman was like, I have not heard, I think pandemic changed this, y'all. Like, I have not heard curse words like how I hear from 4-year-olds. But again, they didn't make that up. They're
Yeah,
hearing it at home. And then
yeah,
that's not an indictment, but that is just to tell you with the level of stress and how people are living, et cetera, et cetera. People, certain things people never said in front of children or let children watch and all this other stuff. And sometimes we're seeing, different approaches to raising kids now, where folks, I don't even know if they know they doing it or if they're choosing an approach, but they're just kind of letting things fly, and then we're seeing it. What were you gonna add?
no, I was gonna say, like, we just gotta be careful with the story that we tell ourselves, right? And I know Doc, so I already know, like, he's not a loser, and this man
Oh,
is
he
on
just
fire.
saying that. Come on
Yeah,
now.
but no, it's what it is like it's to grab that attention, right? Because like as you read it, and so we got to be cautious with the story that we tell ourselves. If I would have accepted, my circumstances, and I didn't have that desire to continue to push forward, then I would have, you never know. You never know
Yeah,
what's going to
people have
happen.
different mindsets, different levels of resilience, how you respond, and in the time that you respond. Thank goodness that you
Hmm.
got the lesson early. Not saying that you couldn't have gotten it later, but
Yeah.
sometimes people have different kind of um, evolution and patterns in which they can accept, or they're ready to hear, or they're ready to kind of follow real wisdom. And then oftentimes you also see people who you know, want to do better but learn the hard way, and unfortunately
Facts.
that takes longer. That ends up, in time in prison, all kinds of stuff. But shout out to you, and whatever it was
Hmm.
about you, that you were open to being, molded and influenced by more positive role models. And I hope people again will hear that and want to be one, or try to open themselves up. Oh goodness. Okay, Doc Amy said, when I say 3 times loser, that means I've been in prison 3 times. Okay, thank you for clarifying. I'm not gonna call you no loser, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Sandy W says, let me tell you, I volunteered for 2 years with a program at underprivileged schools. I used to be so stressed because most of the kids were hungry. Listen, I've worked at a technical school myself, and it was like, what?
Yeah.
It was amazing to see the struggles. I'm talking about young adults, 18, 19, 20, 22. Whew, I was just like, there, you got to help almost be almost like a social worker first
Yeah.
before they can learn business communications or anything else. Like I'm
And
here
think
trying
about
to
the
teach.
standardized tests that they got to take and everything. I mean, you'd be amazed at what a solid meal would do, to kind of enhance your brain. So,
Yes.
yeah, that's a issue that,
And
yeah,
resources,
yeah,
proper sleep,
that's it.
having proper clothing, knowing where you're gonna lay your head that night. All of it. Welcome,
Hmm.
Jawan.
Hey, that's
Excuse
my
me.
boy. That's my
Ah,
guy.
you brought the people. Jawan says,
Yeah,
even as an adult, Low became my mentor. Adults need mentorship too. A
for
girl asked
sure.
me that yesterday. I went to an event. They were like, "Do you have a mentor?" And I was like, "Do I? I don't know. I have people that I can call on, but I don't know if I formally call them a mentor. You know what I'm saying? Like if I
Man,
need help,
listen, you need it then, because I got a
I
mentor in
need them.
everything, spiritual mentor. I got a financial mentor. There's so many.
Mhm.
I got so many mentors, but definitely an accountability groups. That's where Doc
You're
and
big on
Jawan.
that. I know
Yeah, I'm
you love
huge on
it.
accountability groups. Gotta have
He's
them.
like,
Gotta have
I'm on a
them.
meeting, Sue. I'm going to
Yeah,
this
yeah,
accountability group, Sue. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get mine in order too. But
yeah,
I love that about you, that there's this way of kind of, the progress hasn't stopped, the growth
yes,
hasn't stopped, the desire for more hasn't stopped, and then it's a healthy desire. It's not all about the money. It's also about you, the man, and your family.
for sure.
But you have to have, vision, and you have to have measurables. So no matter how you look at it, if you're not going anywhere, it's probably because you don't have vision and you don't have accountability. So I'm sure those help tremendously with you now staying on point. And I want to ask you before we pivot. Well, I guess I'll ask now. When it comes to relationships, not having a good relationship with your mom, or excuse me, let me not presume that, being distant from your mom,
Right.
physically speaking, has that had any role or played any role in your marriage, or how, or your
Mm.
relationship with your mom? Does it impact how you relate to your wife now?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I would say no because my mom and I had a great relationship. I mean, there was some trauma there for sure,
Yeah, yeah. Didn't want to
and
assume.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, and there was definitely some, shout outs to counselors and mental health, the mental health counselors because I needed counseling, right? And I'm a huge advocate for that. And shout outs to my wife, who's a licensed mental health counselor, but also as a partner, being able to kind of show me some of the areas that I didn't think about. Because my mom today isn't the woman who went to jail, right? She changed, she evolved, she grew, she found the Lord, and she started to give back and be an advocate in the jail system. And there's a lot of times when my trauma kind of reminds me back of those days where, well, you wasn't there, right? And so it takes counseling, and it takes some real like inner searching to kind of get over those things. But I always loved my mom, and I grew up with my sister and my cousins, and so the way that I saw men treating them, I always vowed to never be like that. So and again, my mother, she raised me right, even despite the fact that she made mistakes. This woman, there's a lot of skills that I have today and how I treat my wife because of my mom. When you get a wife, you need to do this, like, and she would just tell me all these different things. So all of that was just kind of instilled in me. And but I wouldn't say that the distance, changed anything because it's the same as being a parent, right? My
Yeah,
father wasn't in my life at all,
yeah.
and I'm a great father, and I'm, it's an honor to be a father, and so I make sure that I make the right choices to be the best father. But that's where the accountability comes. That's where the mentorship come because now you start to visualize what it looks like, even though you don't know. So that
I love it.
you kind of know better, right? Like you see, oh, this marriage looks nice. I think I need something like that, and then you just grow. But yeah, to answer that question, that's it.
I love it because again, that gives people hope. A lot of the narrative, the story that's being
Hmm.
told is like you ain't grow up with no dad.
Yeah,
You're, done for when it comes to relationships. And some of the people that I know in the healthiest marriages did not have their father around.
yeah, for
So
sure.
it shows that if you do the work, praise God. When you said you went to counseling and you
Hmm.
had to deal with the trauma, it's not like it wasn't there. And then again, sorry for trying to presume maybe that you didn't have a good relationship with her because again, a lot of people have parents who have been incarcerated while they were in their formative years.
Hmm.
So it had an impact, but that's not to say that you guys didn't maintain a positive relationship. And I'm glad to hear that she, in spite of her mistakes still gave you a good foundation of right and wrong and principles,
For
so that you
sure.
had something to draw from. And I'm grateful to hear that you said you saw maybe not the best example of how men treated mom and sister and cousins or whatever, and knew, hey, this is not going to be me.
Right.
So in finding your wife, praise God, bro, says Doc
Hey.
Haley. Let's go. Testimony after testimony. Good stuff over here. A little wilder doing work. We got about 15 minutes, y'all. I'm gonna ask if you have any questions, please leave them in the chat. We're getting into how he overcame incredible odds to become the man he is today. Married, a child, young child with one on the way. And can you tell us how you found your wife? Because a lot of people always want to know in these YouTube streets,
For
how
sure.
did that come about? Because I know she is, if I may say, older than you. Let's go.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
more than, what is it, 4 or 5 years older than you?
Yeah. Four.
Okay,
Yeah.
praise
But you
God.
don't tell a woman your age,
No,
or
no,
you
no,
don't
don't
tell.
tell your
Yeah.
age. So we don't know
Yeah.
her age. Don't tell your age, so we don't know your age.
Yeah.
But he's in his
Yeah.
30s, praise God. And she's a mature woman. Let's go.
For sure.
And so how did you find each other? Because again,
Yeah.
that goes against the rules, so-called rules
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
people have outlined as to what men do and why men do it. But I feel, again, relationships are logic and matters of the heart, but nonetheless. So how did you meet this lucky lady who would become your wife?
Well, look, first off, I'm the lucky man. My
Ah,
wife, yeah, my wife is amazing, all but it, every bit of it. She's just man, she's everything. She's my best friend. She's my partner. She's my baby mama, right? But yeah, so it's a very interesting story. It comes back to faith again, right? So we were connected with. I was connected with her sister and my friend who said, "Let's set them up on a blind date." And so we went out to dinner. We had an amazing time. The conversation was so high level, and man, I was just like, I really hope this woman calls me back. And so she did. She started calling me. We're texting, and just to kind of make the story short, man, we got engaged and married within 4 months. And it's just, we were just led by, we knew, like, God told me this is your wife. And so I was obedient, and so we got married, and it's been a blessing. So we've been married for four
hold up.
years.
Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah,
Let
yeah,
me
yeah,
put
yeah.
some boom in it. Like, I'm like, wait a
Bring it
minute.
back, bring it back. I
I'm
already
like,
know.
listen, Sandy W is like, hold up. Thank you for sharing your story. OMG. This is really something that will change a person's outlook and what God is able to do. That is a
Can do all
word, Sandy.
things for sure.
This is what I'm on. I'm like, what now? 4 months and told you. Now, did you hear
Yeah.
the audible voice of God saying, this is your
Audible, like,
wife?
I was in prayer and meditation in the morning, and we had just went on a date, and I was just praying, and out of nowhere I received a word from the Lord. And it was, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child, I understood as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. And I'm like, why did that word, Lord? Like, what's going on? And he says, I've delivered your wife. I want you to put away childish things. And I'm going to explain what that meant. So I had this mindset of, it's going to take a woman 5 years, three. Every man is like, oh, it's going to take this amount of time and this many dates, and they got to prove this and prove that. And God was telling me, you need to put away them childish thoughts, because here I'm giving you your wife, and I need you to step up and be a man. And so it was God, because of the time, right? It was like something that people were going to be asking questions. Are you sure? And obviously, we were in our 30s, and it was just very, very unique, right? But then it's interesting, because when we got engaged, we started meeting all these couples who were like, oh, our story's similar. But we were
four
confident.
months?
4 months. Yeah, or less. I mean, even yeah, man. So 4 months. 4 months. Again, here's the thing. I used to ask all the mentors I'm talking about. I would ask them, man, how do you know? Right? Like, how do you know if that's your wife? And they always said the same thing. When you know, you will know. Every single one of them.
Lady, we
And
was like, what?
yeah,
How you know?
every single one of them. When you know, you will know. And so, we were both seasoned, we were both mature, as you said. We, I mean, my wife had a master's degree. She was working on her PhD, who's now Dr. Wilder. So shout outs to wifey
Yay,
for putting in that
wifey.
work. She got her
Oh, and he
PhD.
married a PhD. Oh
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
you broke all the
Like I said, I'm the lucky one. Yeah, but yeah, wifey, man, she listen. She was, minister. She was a music minister in her church. She was in. She had her own counseling business. She was working. She had a school, music school for kids. She was out there public speaking. I mean, we had so many similarities, and I was just like, this is an amazing woman. Like, I said it like I would marry this woman, right? And then I was praying, and then that fell on me. And so what happened was, when I wanted to share with her my moment, she told me about the dream that she had, and she said in the dream I was her husband. So that's how it happened, and we just walked on faith, not by sight, not what other people were saying. And here we are now, have a beautiful family and married, living in a big house here in Atlanta.
what?
And
Yeah.
so we're blessed. We are truly, truly blessed. And I share that story because I want people to know, like, no matter what, your situation you're in or how old you think you are or whatever, man, God's got you. Like, keep your faith in him, and he's gonna take care of you for sure.
Whatever God brings together, let no man put asunder. Somebody
That's
say
it.
amen. Jay Taylor, excuse me, says, yes, sir, married 28 years. When I met my wife, I knew.
Knew she was the one. My man.
So all this double dipping and double dutching and tipping and dipping ain't no reason for it, y'all.
Nah,
Because you
man.
either know yes or no.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's pretty straightforward. Sandy W talking about, all righty then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now
My brother, he's not my biological brother. But same thing after he got married 3 months after meeting his wife, and that was about a year after me. So man, and he's been married now 3 years, and they have a family. So yeah,
these
it's
people are in
definitely
Atlanta. Where are
possible.
these people at?
It's out in Florida. He's in Florida. Yeah. Hey, you gotta be ready.
Where we okay, praise God. I'm talking about ATL where we need to be. Okay, Holy Ghost. With so much encouragement there. I'm gonna stay on the relationship topic because I think, like I said, y'all hit the like button. We're doing work over here. We're doing ministry over here because a lot of people have given up
Yeah.
hope when it comes to relationships. People are so, frustrated and fearful and don't think it can happen to them. So I like the fact that you added that piece when you are ready. When you are
Mhm.
ready. Sometimes we think we're ready and we may not have put away the childish things, my God. And there are
Hey,
parts
hey,
of us
hold on.
that are,
Sometimes you are ready, but
hmm,
your significant other's not ready.
hmm, wait a minute, you ready, but they the one
Yeah, you
designed for
ready, but
you
they not ready. And so
is
you
not
just got
ready.
so you just
Well,
gotta be patient, allow God to work on them, and you just continue to develop and do what you got to do. Because here's the thing I realized, and we've been married 4 years, but it feels like so much happened in 4 years. And I really believe that God will restore all that time you think you're losing, or all that time you think you're missing out. And here goes another wedding I got to go to single. Here's another vacation I got to go, and I'm the third wheel or I'm the fifth wheel. God will restore all that time. Listen, He will restore it. Gotta have faith, man.
the doors of the church are open. There's so many parts of this.
Yeah.
We have a few minutes left, and I'm grateful. I hope y'all are enjoying this. If you're watching live, thank you again for hanging out. It's late at night, East Coast time. And if you're watching TV replay, you're getting this work. We're getting some hopeful aha moments that you can apply to your own walk because not because he's so special, like we laid out earlier, he had, nothing, quote unquote, that would indicate automatic, success. If you
Hmm.
looked at him on paper, he would have been a statistic. If you looked at him like, oh yeah, no, and to see the man that he is today, again, from homeless to hero, living authentically, happy husband, a major, like I say, player at his in his industry, in Fortune 200 company, amazing at sales, and growing his family. That ain't easy, bro. So what allows you to kind of maintain? There's so many hats right now you're wearing
Hmm.
that I feel like again, because we want to make it realistic and let people know this ain't a cakewalk.
Yeah,
How are
I'm
you?
gonna keep it real.
Yeah. How do you manage it all?
Yeah, so that's the
Can a man have it all? Like,
yeah. So look, that the thing is, and this is the truth, and it's gonna hurt. It takes work This thing isn't easy. If it was easy, everybody be married and happy and blissful and all of
Mhm.
this and all of that. My wife and I put in work. It's not easy, and it's difficult. I travel. I'm in Atlanta. We moved up here 2 years ago, just to advance in my career. And she had to pick up and move and be a partner and say, you know what, I got you, and be a stay at home mom and working and on her dissertation. And so it's work. My wife, man, I told her, I said, you're incredible. You're my hero because here you are raising this child, you're getting your PhD, and she's still a music director at the church down in Florida. And so we're commuting, we're doing all these different things. Look, it's work, y'all. Like, I think that the biggest thing, I remember one of my friends came up to me and he wanted to talk about his marriage, and it was early on, and he didn't know if and I'm not in marriage counseling and none of that. But I told him, I said, bro, you got to put in the work. Like, this isn't easy, man. I hope you enjoy your single life now. Get that sleep in now. Enjoy that now. But the thing about it is, when you have the right person, and it's a partnership. And so what that means is that there's some things that you're going to have to leverage. There's some things that I used to do when I was single that I can no longer do anymore because it doesn't fit our marriage and our goals. So you have to make sure that you prioritize, and you still want to have things like my public speak. My wife supports me in everything I do. Look, we're about to have a baby, and I'm going to Africa. I literally just purchased my ticket like when we were on the phone about to get on this call, and it's close to the due date. And I'm just like, babe, are you sure? And she was like, absolutely. This is an amazing opportunity. And so I say that to say, like, man, it's work, and you just got to be willing to put in the work and do what you got to do. But it's definitely worth it. It's rewarding, and I wouldn't change it for anything else.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
There's so much more we can say, brother. If you have any final questions and comments, y'all, that's why I wanted to throw that up. I'm sorry, my little toggling didn't work, but from homeless to hero, Low Wilder giving his utmost honest, open narrative story
Hmm.
about what he's been through. And again, if he can do it, you can do it. As he says, it definitely takes work. It's not something that we have to what should I say, opine over and cry over. If it's for you and it should be, it will be, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think sometimes we get, especially, super discouraged with the looking around at what other people got, seeing how fast it happened for other people, giving us, all kinds of, anxiety, headaches, tummy aches, everything, and
Hmm.
wondering, it helped me, oh God, if it's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's good to hear that in due time, as you prepare yourself, keep going, keep working on you, keep
Hmm.
healing, so that when you meet him or her, it is a much, which I say, more blissful transition. It's not ever
Yeah.
going to stop. The work never stops. It sounds like he's
And
like,
it's not gonna be easy, man. This
yeah,
ain't I think the problem is a lot of people watch these movies and they're like, oh, 4 months, he probably, it's not like the movies.
no,
But it is amazing. Like me and my wife, man, we played cards the other night. You know what I'm saying? Like, we playing Rummy 500, and we competing and we betting like, oh, what you I want sneakers, I want the new J's, and so we have fun, you know what I'm saying? But it's work. But like I said, it's rewarding, and just for all you that are listening, and you're single, right? I say this: trust God, and he's trust me, trust God. You know what I'm saying? Don't trust me, trust him, and he's gonna bless you. I promise you. Like, there was moments when I didn't think it was. I was like, man, I'm just gonna stay single for the rest of my life, and um, and then I met her. And in fact, when I met my wife, I wasn't really like ready, but I made myself ready because I heard God and I was obedient. So I always tell people, you just got to be open, and willing to just go through it. So and trust me, it's gonna be rewarding.
I love it. I think people will get a lot out of that. Y'all hit the like button, please.
Yeah, yeah. Support my girl.
I listen, I'm gonna have to clip that whole piece right there because that was so good. So people can at least get the relationship
Yeah,
testimony too. Shout out
yeah.
to Damon. He says it took my wife a bit to date me officially because of past relationships she
Hmm.
has had. Now we're
Mm.
25 years and let's go.
Man, that's
Ain't no
beautiful.
telling what you can be a part of. I say achieve. I don't want to call relationships an achievement, but what you have in store for you in terms of this area of your life. And I might just bring you back, Lo, to speak
Yeah, there's so
specifically
much more. Yeah.
on what makes a good marriage, what makes a young man, step away from, again, God told you, but obviously beyond
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
to make that decision, because people, I think they think kids are a lot of responsibility, a lot of pressure, but people have been doing this for years and years and years, with money, without money, with means,
Facts.
without means. Kids have survived, they're resilient, but I think there's a lot of people who feel like you're going to give up so much, and it's a arduous and not really a joyful thing. But as I'm learning with my niece, I'm like, it is joyful. This is
Yeah,
this is it's a lot of work,
for
but
sure.
it's joyful, and it
Yeah,
should be a joy to raise children. But a
absolutely.
lot of
It's a
people are
blessing.
getting kind of like, yeah, that's why we need people like you to come talk about it and how it is
Yeah.
a blessing. So instead of all this, yeah, kids, I'm kids, like, and all this stuff, like as if kids are like the worst thing ever. And I'm like, God, that's your legacy.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
beauty. That's a gift and a awesome responsibility to shape that
And
next
think and think
generation.
and think about this. There's people who can't have kids. And so
Right,
if you have
right,
your kids, man, make
right.
sure that you don't take it for granted, because there are
Yeah.
people who cannot have kids
Who
and are
wanted
willing
and
to
can't.
do
Yeah.
they're willing to do anything, they're willing to pay anything. So it's if you can,
It is
yeah.
we gonna have to bring you back just for that, y'all. I hope you
Let's do
enjoyed
it.
this look behind the curtain of
Hey.
a man who has truly lived an extraordinary life. Y'all give it up for Mr. Lo Wilder. Can't wait for the book, brother. Make sure
Oh
that'll
yeah.
probably be the next time I'm gonna hold you to it, since we talking accountability.
Yeah, yeah.
When you come back, we'll be launching that, giving you some good exposure.
Let's
Thank you,
go.
Jay Taylor. This is another great show, Suzette. Positive content regarding relationships and marriage is really needed on YouTube. Absolutely.
Let's
That's why I
go.
would love to have you back. Really appreciate you both. Thank you. Yes, Sandy W agrees, concur. Yes, please bring him back. No, he's just a positive dude. As I've been getting to know him, and again, just listening to how we're very similar, but you are, brother, on another level when it comes to, again,
I
your
appreciate
faith
that.
walk and having the experiences you've had in marriage and family. I think, again, you can learn from anybody, and I think it's just having brothers like yourself who can, again, attest to the fact that there are wonderful marriages happening, people who happen to be just
Facts.
well suited for each other, and finding
Yeah.
each other and compromising, as you're talking about. Your wife has a life. Your wife does great things. Your wife is smart. Has a PhD, and
Hmm.
was really into many things. But there was give and take, and in this season, it's more you and more her at home. And then maybe in another season, it'll change. If you go to law school, hey, put it out there. Other things,
Never
seasons.
know.
Yeah, nay, I wouldn't mind, brother-in-law. But yeah, seasons change, and people have to understand that it's okay. It's a give and take. Your script is not going to be a straight line. Your script is up and a down, and a now me, now you, now us. Making sure us is at the corner stone of it all. But again, I'm talking like I'm the married one. But I'm gonna bring you back, brother. Thank y'all.
Yeah, most of it was an honor, man. I appreciate it, and shout outs to everybody that supported.
Yes.
Definitely, it was good.
Yes, check him out on socials, y'all. Again,
Desire to Dream podcast. Yeah, check my
oh yeah, the
podcast out.
podcast. No, plug
Yeah.
the podcast before you go.
Yes, yes. Desire to Dream podcast. It's on Apple. It's on Spotify. You can find me on YouTube. Low Inspires. Check it out.
Lo inspires for real, y'all. Give it up for Mr. Lo Wilder. Check him out on Spotify. Sorry, I'm having a problem with this toggle today. Was giving him one look at you in action. He also is available for speaking
Yes, most
engagements.
definitely.
So
Yes.
if you want to book him to come talk to your peoples, your organization, your youth group, your church, wherever, book him, y'all. He's again, you can reach out on social media. You can find him on Facebook, wherever you need to, or you can reach out to me and I'll make sure to kind of hook you up. But brother, a fantastic conversation indeed. Thank you for coming through. Thank you to everybody who's been here enjoying and listening in. Thank you. Dave Carmina Show says he loves it. Thank you so much, Sandy W. Thank you for the good word and being an example to our community. Absolutely. Listen to, again, his podcast, y'all, The Desire to Dream. Make sure you look it
Yes.
up, Apple Podcasts. I might need to be on there, though. What's up?
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna make that happen. You already know.
We know we
You
was gonna
already
make it
know.
happen, but people
Yeah,
get busy and stuff, and you got
that's
a
it.
baby and all
That's it.
that and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
let's
All
make
that
it
good stuff.
happen, though. I
Let's do it.
appreciate you, brother. Thank you for coming through. I'll see you
Okay.
and talk to you very soon. Okay,
Sounds
appreciate
good.
you.
Says be easy. God bless.
All love. Thank you so much. Wasn't that fantastic? Great story, y'all. Be sure to like and follow and subscribe. If you want more, make sure tomorrow you are in the building when we go to Frida's World. Frida's World is run by an attorney, Miss Ruth, who has a platform where she talks to or about women in the workplace, right? Women of color and things that we go through. We're going to be talking about imposter syndrome tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern. So if you're at work, come on and tune in and let us know what you think. If you've ever experienced imposter syndrome or if there's something that you know a little bit about, would love to have you live or team replay. Also Thursday, around the same time, 3:30 Eastern, I will be on with the spiritual attorney. Miss Misty is coming through. She also is a licensed attorney, but has a wonderful platform, right? A life-changing platform that she has also crafted. Loving my lady lawyers. I'm going to finish it strong with next week coming through none other than Miss Tremaine Hemmons, Esquire, another lady lawyer who's going to talk about her journey, personally speaking, as well as what she has seen on the horizon and in her immigration law practice. Y'all think it's a joke? The American dream is something else, y'all. And how attainable is it? She's going to answer your questions. We're going to have a great conversation. I think that's coming up on the 16th, y'all. But tonight was all about Mr. Low Wilder. If you will please follow him, like him, find his podcast and subscribe. All right. Appreciate you. Loving the hair. Oh, thank you, sis. Appreciate you. Sweet. You know, I like to switch it up. Sweet Dreams says, RM, check out RM's channel as well. She has a fantastic, drop your channel, please. Oh, it's on there. I see it. RM, one of my fantastic moderators, does a channel called Vintage Femme Channel, 1950s RM Femme for the win, right? So go and support her and subscribe as well. We want to make sure everybody's growing around here. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the show, ladies and gentlemen. And please be sure to like, share, and comment. And of course, if you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Thanks for watching.